All right, welcome my friends to the Black Diamond Call for Monday the 23rd of January. Technical problems 2 weeks in a row. Who would have thunk it? But hey, that's how it goes sometimes. John Leveni is here with you. Always excited to be here with everybody here inside the Digital Altitude Live Call series. Let me do a quick sound check to see if we do have my friend Eli on the line with us. Eli, can I hear you? Okay, and the answer is no, I can't. But we are going to be having our buddy Eli come out here and share with us here tonight. So I will have to find you on the conference bridge. In the meantime, for all of our new members who are just joining us here for the first time, welcome to the Black Diamond Call. This is always a fun conversation that we get to have each week with all of our members, where we get to talk about how we got to the top in our respective businesses. You know, a lot of people here have been in the top tier direct sales space for some years, myself about 15, and successfully for about 15, been hanging around it even longer than that, but very excited for our new people as you come and you get to experience not only the success that many people who have come before you have experienced, but you get to learn from people who have maybe could save you some time, right, and speed up the process and help you eliminate and avoid pitfalls, things like that. So that's what this call is about, and we meet here each week, so be sure to tune each week and to invite your team members as well, because we always hear some really cool stuff from different people. This week we've got one of our friends who is a coach here inside Digital Altitude, and who we got to hear. I don't know if you guys tune in to the Inside Digital Altitude call on Friday mornings. Hopefully you do, but I got to hear from this guy for the first time ever on that call, and it was a great piece that he shared. So I think, wouldn't it be great to have him out here for really hear a story and to hear where he wants to dig in and offer some tips to everybody on how he got to the heights that he's gotten to up to this point. And so the warning, the disclaimer for this call, as I say every week, is that you're going to hear our opinion on stuff. It's not necessarily what we're commanding you to do. However, you could take some tips and please see how they apply to you and what you're doing in your business. That's a smart thing to do. And take what you like and leave the rest. And of course, if we say anything that offends you, well, you'll get over it. That's just how we roll. We're not terribly interested in being politically correct on this call. We just want to say it how it is and help you get results, which sometimes you'll hear some unexpected stuff, and that's just how it goes. So let me see if I can find my buddy Eli Gonzalez. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to see about unmuting.
Okay.
Okay,
Am
so
I
Eli,
unmuted?
it seems that you have not logged in as a host, so I need to manually unmute you. I think I can hear you now. Sound check, please.
Is that me?
Yay!
160 testing. Perfect. There we go.
Hey, man, there's Eli Gonzalez, ladies and gentlemen. Eli, you know what, man?
I love it when
I am
systems
excited that you're
work
out here.
perfectly.
I am so excited to have you and all the different people that we get to showcase on these calls. Of course, somebody else unmuted their line. Let me go ahead and mute them. Okay, great. So I am so excited to have you out on these lines to hear from different personalities, different people who are, all right, so hold on, Eli. I'm going to go ahead and lock these lines up again and manually unmute you because somehow you were not able to put the lecture code in. Okay, so Eli, your line should be live again, and no one else's. So yeah, I'm excited to hear about your story and like where you want to go with this, man. Like, why are you here? How did you get here? And keep in mind, we got a lot of new members here. You know, sometimes I like to talk about some, pretty highbrow philosophy stuff, but of course that's what I've been studying for 30 years. But that's not everybody, right? So we've got people who maybe one day in the business, and of course we've got other seasoned veterans, like myself and yourself. So, so where do you want to start with all this?
You know, it's funny. I'm so glad that I'm here. This is a long time coming, and you have no idea. I've been following you online and offline. I don't know. Close to 5 years now, I think.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. We actually were in a company together that my business partner had a speaking role at the same at the same conference. This was in, I think it was Anaheim, but it could have been somewhere else because I've been to so many conventions that I can't remember now.
Yeah,
but,
we've been all over the world, huh?
Yeah. It's like it's pretty neat, and literally, like you said, the first time we ever got to really meet and talk was last Friday on that call. So it was
And that's
kind of nice.
That's a testament to actually being in the community and not just hanging around it here and there, but actually showing up and participating. I mean, you contributed some great stuff last Friday. Of course, everyone can listen to the recording on the iTunes podcast or SoundCloud or wherever you like to listen to the recordings. But Eli, you contributed some great stuff. You inspired me. You inspired me, man. And so it's that level of engagement, which I think sometimes, and I don't know where you want to go with this conversation. I certainly don't want to steer it for you, but I think it's that level of engagement that sometimes people either take for granted or think is not necessary, or, hey, I just want to make money. What about all this, this community stuff? I don't know. I just want to make money. But that's actually a big, big part of it. So I don't know if that's where you want to go with it, but it's interesting to hear that you've been exposed to me for years and years. That's great.
And that is the nice thing about, not just coming on board to make a buck for this week or this month or whatever, which a lot of people do that, right? I've met actually a lot of leaders that came in that way. They thought, hey, I come in, make my $100,000, and then walk away and do something else, right? And and then everybody has the expectation of being able to do it overnight and do it right away and then walk away. And nobody even knew that you were in business, right? Nobody understands this online world or anything like that, right? And they don't want to explain it to anybody in the beginning, so they sit back and don't become part of the community, right? They don't go to conferences. They don't even listen to the daily wake-up calls, which we have here. And they don't get it until they start doing it, right? And they start doing it, and they start getting it. They go to the first event, and it just blows their mind to no end. I remember my very first event, the first time I ever listened to Tony Robbins, actually. And it was amazing to go to a company event, but they hired somebody that, who knows how much he got paid back then to come in and do a training that just changed my life, until you go to there and you feel that energy and you get to talk to people, and feel that it's like nothing else, especially for entrepreneurs, right? We're so much around so many people that are not entrepreneurs, right? They think completely different than us, and we feel like the oddball most of the time around our friends and things like that. But then we go to an event that's all that's there. It's people that not only want to be entrepreneurs, but they think and act and do everything the way that you do, and it's a whole different world when you start, immersing yourself into something like that. It's like nothing else, right? So anyway, I am so glad to be here tonight and be able to be part of this call. I mean, I told you most Monday nights I actually have set aside for something else that I do every Monday, and when you told me that, if it can be on this call, I changed everything because I love this community. I love being able to give back to it. One of the reasons that I'm a coach here. And I love what it's been able to do with my life, my family's life. And, if anything that I've learned that I can impart, that somebody else can take a little bit of it and run with it, that's what I love to do,
Well, it shows, and the only thing I would have to disagree with is that anybody could possibly have anything more important to do on a Monday night than participate in the Black Diamond Call. So
no, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock is Black Diamond. It was just trying to get ready.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here you are. You raced home. You did whatever you had to do. I actually raced here too. I had to. I just got to have an appointment, and I don't know if my racing here contributed to our tech problems that we had in the beginning. But 2 weeks in a row we had a tech problem on this call. But it must be. It must be a good omen or something. It's like when it rains on your wedding day or whatever. But tell us a bit of the history here, Eli. What happened? How did you show up in this community?
It's funny because it literally goes back to when I was a kid, as far as the entrepreneur in me, right? When I was a kid, my dad is an electrical contractor, and I got to see both sides of the spectrum. You always talk about, entrepreneur or employee mindset. and things like that, and what that brings. And when I was a kid, my father, since he was 18, he owned his own business, right? And I saw the difference, right? I saw the difference between that and when I was about 25 years old, he actually got into a really bad motorcycle accident that he almost lost his life. He messed up his left leg really bad, and he still suffers from it. But they actually were able to keep it. But he actually went from having his business to literally not being able to do anything for a whole year. He was in a hospital for 6 months in traction, then another 6 months at home rehabilitating and actually with a cast up to his all the way up his leg and part of his body and everything, holding the leg in place because they didn't have the advanced stuff that they have these days, to repair bones like that. And but I got to see because first of all, who can go a whole year without working? And he had so much in savings that we had 2 houses, car payments, all this stuff, and it was paid for that whole year. He was able to live without having to do anything, and it's like. Then I got to see what happened afterwards because, my mom got a little worried about having health care and all this other stuff, so they decided that he was going to go work for somebody else. And for the following, 15 years or so, he was working for somebody else, and I got to see the difference. We were 5 kids in the family. My wife, my mother, stayed at home and take care of our kids, so it was only on one income. And I got to see, the difference of, having a life with being an entrepreneur dad, right, and having a life with an employee dad, and it was quite different, what we were able to do, the things that we were able to do versus one the other. So I guess that stuck in my head all my years, right? Seeing the difference of being able to do anything you want to, how do we have the money for it? Can we do this? Can we do that? Maybe going out on vacation maybe once a year instead of, more often like we did before. So I got to see the difference, and it got stuck in my head. So I literally, I tried both things out for a little bit. I actually, right after high school, actually, I started my own first business, and everybody talks about, having success and all this other stuff. But I don't know how many, they say that the average entrepreneur fails 2.5 times or something like that, 3 times before they succeed. And so, having feel of failure shouldn't be part of the way you think, right? But I started with something, had to do with electrical because that's what my dad used to do, and that actually failed pretty quick. And then I went and decided to go the other way. I went to, started going to college, started working for a bank. Thought I would go the corporate route, right? And after a year of working for corporate, all the people that are on the line that have worked for corporate can relate to this. Some kind of big corporation. I actually went to work for a small branch that did a lot of, deposit. Like we did as much deposit. This was in Fort Lauderdale area in Florida, and we were on the beach, and we had our clientele was like writers, and John Candy would walk in the door, and make deposits for his mom and stuff like that. Back in the day, this is back in the late '80s, and when he was a big star, before whatever happened to him. But I for the year that I was there, they were paying for college and things like that, so I was doing that in night school, and but I actually, like most overachievers, that come on board and this scene that we're, the internet marketing scene that we're in, I learned everything, and I actually did everything, and about halfway into that year, the branch manager ended up getting sick. Sick that she was gone for 6 months. And I actually took over her responsibilities. So I did everything pretty much that you can do in a branch except be the branch manager. And after being there a year, they gave me a nice 10% raise, and it's like, okay, thank you. And then I decided, well, I've been doing this job, they have other positions open. So I try to move over, from being just a regular teller to being a head teller in a different branch. And you know what? I was told, first couldn't do it. Didn't have enough. Didn't have the 2 years that they expected. Even though I was doing more than anybody else had ever done in the business. And so I saw that. And then my branch manager liked me, so she went to bat for me. And I actually was in the meeting with human resources and stuff like that. And they said, well, you can actually stay where you're at. You have your 10% raise, or maybe we can give you this position, which I'm not sure if you can give it to you, but the most you can have in any given year is 10% raise. So you have to stick with a 10% raise. And I'm going, are you kidding me? You're going to hire somebody outside and pay them whatever it was, $30, $40, $50,000 more a year, but you don't want to take somebody from inside that's trying to come up the ladder, right? And take care of them. So for some reason that just gave me okay, this is not what I want to do for a living, right? I don't want somebody telling me what I'm worth, even when I'm giving them all that I can give, right? And it's more than anybody else does. So I knew what I was worth. I knew that, that I can do more than that. And it just happened that I actually had one of our clients had a weird business. It's kind of weird anyway. So it's Energy Conservation Center. So I asked them what it was all about. And it turned out that it was something that I did while I was in school, going actually window tinting, 3M window tinting is what it was. And so right around the time, you know how things just coincide when you're ready for a change? That's what happened. And it's actually, they were looking for somebody. And I said, I did that in the past. I did it on cars. They were doing it on homes. And it's like, why not try that? So I actually took my week vacation, because my year was up. My manager was nice enough to give it to me right away. He says, I want you to go to see that this is not what you want to do because I want you to stay here, But she was able to give it to me right away. So I went, took my week vacation, worked for them for a week, came back, gave my 2-week notice, and I have never looked back since. I've always owned my own business ever since, and it was like such a difference. I mean, my first year of being my own boss, right, I was making more money than the branch manager of that bank was making after 19 years of being with the bank, and it's like that. I've never looked back ever since because being an entrepreneur, you don't get paid wholesale. When you go work for somebody as an employee, you get paid wholesale wages because they have to make a profit, right? But when you're the owner, you get all the profits. So that's the big deal about owning your own business, right? So I've never looked back. The only difference was that after 20 years or so of doing that, which, it's hard to run a business for 20 years without ups and downs and things like that. But I was able to go through that. But I got tired of it. Like most people, they get to a certain age and it's like, man, do I want to do this the rest of my life? And around that time, I was working crazy hours, like 60 hours a week, 80 hours sometimes, because the cost of materials had gone up. When the housing crash happened, this was like the worst part. I'm in Southwest Florida, and we were back and forth between Vegas and us being the number one and the most foreclosures, right? So my business, even though it had nothing to do with housing, it had to do with people moving into their place. Because every time they moved in, they wanted nice stuff in their house. They had the $10,000 couches. We live in a nice area here, and a lot of big windows. So they wanted that window film that 3M has to keep their things from going bad. Well, my business was good for a long time, but then when that crash happened, all these big manufacturers, what they did, because they, if you're a manager in a big corporation like that, it's all about what happened. What did you do for me lately, right? So the first manager came over and lowered the prices, thinking, hey, I'll have a lot more customers. And more people will be able to buy the stuff because, the economy's down, blah, blah, blah. Well, he lost his job within the first year because the numbers were down. So the next guy came over and just raised the prices of materials through the roof. So instead of me having a business that I always had, that I was able to, have a lot of free time, go to my kids' school, be an assistant to the teacher and read for the kids as they were growing up, it became that I was working 60 and 80-hour weeks, and I wasn't seeing my family anymore. It was crazy to think that and I always said that, compare, it's like, you hear that saying, right? You start owning a business, and after a while, the business starts owning you. That's how I felt. I felt like, I was overwhelmed with working crazy hours, so I started looking for something different. It was like, I want my life back. The money was great. It was nice mid-six figures that I've been making forever, but I didn't have a life. And a lot of people come here and they feel the same way. I mean, sometimes you have both. You're looking for the money and the time, right? But other times, the people are doing very well, but they could be doctors, they could be lawyers, they could have a really nice, business going on, but they want their life back. They want their time with their family. I mean, there was nothing worse than the feeling that being away, 2-3 hours away doing a job, and you got to call your wife and, tell them, hey, honey, go ahead. You guys go ahead and go out to dinner with your family. I'll bring something home because by the time I get home, it's going to be too late. And I got tired of that. I got tired of just working all the time and not seeing any benefits, on my end, as far as the family was doing good, but I couldn't see them, and that's not good for the family either. So I came across, it was funny because I actually came across originally with network marketing, and I started doing some of that stuff, and for some reason that never worked out for me. I could never get it to go more than about $25 a month, and my business was doing, more than 10 times that. So it was like, for a lot of people, $25 would be good, right? But for me, it wasn't enough to leave my business for. So I was looking for something, a little more substantial, and something that didn't take up so much time because I was working, all this time. And then on Wednesday nights, we had hotel meetings, so we're working until 10 o'clock at night or so because we would go to the hotels and do that. Other times of the week, I was actually traveling 3 hours away to do, meetings at, people's homes and actually college that we had over in Miami area and stuff like that. And it was like crazy hours of trying to work for this little bit of money, right? So it was like, okay, this is not working. I got to find something different. Around the time the company I was with changed their comp plan, all the work that we had done went away, and it was like, no, this is crap. I need something that I could build quicker. I'm not looking for the 3 to 5 year plan. I'm looking for something that I could build quickly and see the benefits quickly. And I actually started talking to some of the other friends, all the leaders and those companies. And one actually, said, well, you're talking about trying to get leads, because I was buying a crazy amount of generic leads at the time, calling, 50, leads an hour because there was so many wrong numbers, bad numbers, voicemails, and people when they call, no, I don't know what you're talking about, and hang up on me, with those kind of leads. So I was looking for another way to create better leads, better targeted leads versus just generic leads that you can buy, from anybody. Selling, somebody might be selling an iPod. At the end of that process, they'll ask them different questions, and one of them might be, do you want to work from home? And they say yes, and all of a sudden they're a lead for you, right? That's not very targeted. So I was looking for something a little bit better for my, to run actually my network marketing company, not that I was trying to come on 100% on board online. And somebody told me about this guy. You probably heard of him. He's became so big now that he doesn't put his name out there as much. He has companies that run. But remember Dagan Smith back about 10 years ago? He was one of those leaders that came about. And so he had a book out. Actually, he had a DVD set that you could buy, and learn how to do email marketing. That's what it was about, the ultimate guide to email marketing or something like that. And I said, let me try that, right? So I spent whatever it was, $1,000, $1,500 for the training, and I got this, box a couple of weeks later in the mail, and it had 15 DVDs in there or something like that. It took me about 2 weeks to go through the DVDs, and it was all such brand new information, and without anybody to work with you, like here, with Digital Altitude, we have a coach, and they don't give you all the information at once. They give you a couple of steps at a time. You get to, basically take your time and assimilating that information, not just taking it all in. So, but I didn't do that. I tried to take it all in, and it just left my head spinning. It's like, whoa, way too much information, too much new stuff. So I decided, okay, let me take it and go through it again. So I took another 2 weeks to go through it. And at the end of that, it's like a light bulb went up. It's like, wow, this is crazy. This is like printing money. This is like the best business ever. And then, like simultaneously, like at the same time, it just hit my head. It's like, oh, crap, I got to put all this stuff together now. It's like I'm working 60 hours, 80 hours a week. How in the world am I going to put a whole system together with all the stuff that they're talking about, all these foreign language words, like lead capture pages and sales funnels, all this other stuff, sales video and sales letters and copywriting and all this other stuff that they were talking about. And it's like, that's crazy. There's no way, And so it just happened that the same guy happened to have a system already in place that allow you to get leads and make, and it was a low-tier product line, so let you make some commissions and stuff on it. So I said, you know what, instead of making this whole thing from scratch, which might take me 6 months, might take me a year, I don't know, I don't know when I'm going to find the time. I decided to use that system, and, I learned how to do some marketing, pay Google for some ads, and I spent like $100, my first month just to test it out, and I came out with $300, and I said, holy cow, okay, 3 times the money. What investors, like, how many times can I do this, and how stupid was I just to, try with $100? So that was the start of it all, right? It was like a light went off. I got an opportunity to try something, and I spent 5 years trying to make some money with low-tier products. It's like it's the same thing happened that was happening with my network marketing business. I was only getting up to about low 4 figures a month, and it was like, okay, this is not working. I was about to give up, and I actually came across a top-tier. It was kind of what makes a MLM and top-tier that came around in 2011, at the end of 2011, and I started. That was the first time that I can say I had success, and it was a mixture both of having a top-tier with a training system, right, and at the same time attending events. So we just, we started the call with. It was amazing because I actually got to, come on board. My first month, I did, and of course, everybody's, not that I'm trying to compare myself, because I'll give you some other numbers that will blow your mind more than mine will, some of the other people that I've worked with in the past. But just so that you understand where my head was, my first month I did about $25, and it's like, okay, that's what I've been doing. That's great. And my second month, I was going to do about the same. I was set up to do about $25 again. And I went to my very first event for a top-tier product line, and it just changed my life. That's, I talk about people go to events. It changes your life. And it was going to that event, actually, I remember it was in Austin, Texas, and I don't know if it was the training that they had there. I don't know if it's the people that I met. I don't know. I try to take out anytime I'm around other leaders. At events like that, especially if it's not too big of an event, sometimes you can, take them out to dinner or take them out to lunch or go, buy them a drink and then, later on at night, and just sit around and, learn from all these people, right? And I don't know what it was, but something changed in my head. And I ended up that month making about $4,200. And it's like, wow, okay, now we're getting somewhere, right? I got above my glass ceiling that I kept on hitting over and over again. I couldn't get past that $2,500, so it felt like it's something good. And the following month, I ended up with just $15,000. My first 90 days to get to that level, it literally changed my life. It literally, I didn't even think about it twice. I let go of my business. I didn't even try to sell it, John. And I was so fed up with it. I was so tired of working that I literally just closed the doors, walked away, and just went online. And that was almost 6 months. Well, it'll be 6 years, come October or something like that this year. And it really changed my life because I started, after I got to that level, instead of working 60 hours a week, we talked about, a lot of people are in the steps, right? On step 2, it talks about the 80-20 rule, find out, what part of your business is getting you 80% of your results. And for me, it's always been the marketing, my offline, my online business. When you go back and figure out what's getting you the money for real, it's getting new blood into your business. That's what marketing does, right? It gets you more people to come in and look at your stuff. So when I look back, and it's funny because it wasn't until I went through step 2, actually, Michael's training, that it clicked, okay, I was working 60-hour weeks. I found out that 20% that got me 80% of the results, because I wasn't, at $15,000, I wasn't getting exactly what I was making with my other business, but I was pretty close. So that 20% was the marketing. I just learned I just started doing marketing, And now, it wasn't easy in the beginning, by the way. Just to track back a little bit, those 3 months were crazy. I was working 60-hour weeks, so my only time available for me to do anything was to work from 9 o'clock at night, because I would get home between 7 and 8, spend a little time with the family, and I went to my man cave. And from 9 o'clock at night to midnight, 9 o'clock at night to 2 o'clock in the morning, I did that for 3 months straight, and almost anybody would have burned out. But when I started having those results, it's like I couldn't sleep anyway. I was so excited, right? It's like, awesome, let's get to the next level. So, basically, when I hit that mark, I knew that it was enough. I knew that I was working from that point on. I wasn't going to be working 60 hours. I got it down to like 10 to 12 hours a week, and then 20% of 60 is 12, right? So it was like it was that 80-20 actually worked for me very well for what works in business, right? And it's learning how to do marketing. That's what our rice product is all about. It's learning how to market online, and that, along with the personal development that we get every week here, both in these calls, right? We get them on the daily calls. We talk about reading, good books. All these things together, it's what works together to have success. Because one of the things that, if anything, that I got out of working with network marketing was learning that, leaders are readers. Leaders are readers. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard it before, but, it was funny because I was looking at the Digital Altitude blog, and they had an article about, the 5 must-reads for every entrepreneur. And I was thinking about that, creating a list for this call tonight. But, if you only read 15 minutes a day, say you do it first thing in the morning when you get up and just get out of the way, or you do it 15 minutes, right before going to bed, that you can read about 4 to 5 new books a year, and if you start doing that, can you imagine, your life a year from now? Because then you would have so much more to give, not just for yourself, but you can actually impart that to other people. And you sharing that knowledge will actually attract so many people to you. You have no idea. They say the average person doesn't read anything past in any books at all past high school. So when you start imparting information like that out, you can attract so much business to you just because you're giving of yourself, and you're actually taking it in first, but then you're giving it back. And to me, that's the most important thing. If you're going to be doing business, there's a couple of things that stand in the way of success. If you look at the things that get in the way, and hardly ever is it book knowledge that gets in the way. It's not that there's not enough knowledge out there. If you start with us here with Digital Altitude, you're going to have the knowledge. You're going to have all the book knowledge that you need. All these training that you're going through the videos and things like that. I compare that to the book knowledge. But I tell all my students, if it was book knowledge that created success in business, all the professors in the world, they will be the billionaires, right? They will be the billionaires, if not trillionaires. But that's not the case, right? That's not what you see, because you need to have the business sense, to do business, to come up with ideas, to come up with ways to go around issues and problems and things like that. And you're not going to get that from a book. You're not going to get that as far as, the book knowledge as far as, how to market. Yeah, you can go get book how to market, and the Internet 101, or, how to market for dummies and things like that. That's not going to be, where you're going to get your success. It's having the mindset of an entrepreneur, but not just the regular mindset. It's something that you develop over time. You don't get this overnight. I tell people, we have these calls and we have the recordings, right, if you can't make it live. But those calls are an everyday thing. You do little by little by little. It adds to you, and little by little you make changes in your life, and you add to yourself. Same thing as reading a book every day. Reading a good book every day will get you those things that you need to create that success that you're looking for. So, if you were to binge, people talk about binge watching, Netflix or something like that. If you try to binge watch or binge listen to the calls that we have every day, it doesn't have the same effect. It doesn't have the same effect to listen to all those calls on a Saturday afternoon, for the whole week. It's listening to it every day for 15, 20 minutes, that little thing, it's what makes the difference, because you can actually start implementing every day a little bit, change your life a little bit more. I used to have this, actually I have a video out there on the internet somewhere with this video, and it was the story about this bunny rabbit, right? This family had this little bunny rabbit called Fluffy, right? And he's in his cage, and he's happy in his cage, and he's jumping around in his cage all day long, and, hop, hop, hop. And then one day he hops and he hits the door to his cage one time, right? And then the cage, door just swings open, and he looks around. It's like, what's this, So he looks around. He doesn't see anybody, around or anything like that. So he jumps out of the cage, and then he jumps back in. So he jumps back out. He goes, this is cool. So he starts jumping around the room, very carefully at first, looking around the room, just, hopping here, hopping there, hopping here, hopping there. And then all of a sudden he gets excited. And it's like, this is pretty cool. So he starts jumping, and he sees the doors open. He jumps and goes out down the hallway, and he makes it over to the kitchen, and he starts jumping around the kitchen. It's like, wow, this is awesome. I always wanted to do this. I cannot believe that I've been messing out all this time, right? Well, he gets over to the living room when he's jumping, and he looks around, and he sees Fluffy. But he sees, Fluffy. He sees Spike, Fluffy sees Spike because that's the family dog, right? And Spike looks at him a little different than Fluffy ever seen him look at him before, right? And they look at each other, and it gets really tense. And, Spike all of a sudden starts, barking and running towards Fluffy. And Fluffy, gets super scared, and he sees that. He just jumps and starts jumping all over the kitchen and all over the place, and jumps. And he finally makes it back to the room, and he goes so fast into the cage, boom. He hits the cage so hard that it just slams the door behind him, right? And then, of course, he's there just hyperventilating. Oh my God, I can't believe that I ever thought about leaving my cage. I love my cage. Why in the world did I ever think about leaving my cage? I mean, I thought that it was an awesome thing to do, but, it's crazy out there. There's no way I'm going to go back out there. Now, that's what happens when people become entrepreneurs, right? And for the first time get out and see the world the way you see it through, say a Friday, inside Digital Altitude call where you hear, somebody that's been doing internet marketing and digital marketing, for the last, 5-10 years, and you hear that, or you hear a Black Diamond call, and you hear somebody, amazing life, awesome things, right? Well, you feel that when you first get outside your cage, right, and you start thinking yourself as an entrepreneur. But at the same time, there are pitfalls that we don't see coming, and in order for us to protect ourselves from that, we have to be on these calls every day, right? We have to be reading a good book every day, because what happens is we get out there, and the very first time that we try something out, we got the Spikes of the world, right? That come out and just start barking up and down our decision of trying to start our own business, right? And what happens? We've never had that before. We don't understand that maybe it's a relative that thinks they're doing the best for us, right? They think that they're trying to protect us from going out there and trying to become an entrepreneur. That might be something, that they've never tried before, right? And maybe they knew somebody that tried one time and they failed and they never went back, and they have that in their head, so they're trying to impart that into you, right? So that's like that that dog and Spike coming after you, and then you retreat. Right? Most of the time, that's what you do first, You retreat and you run back into your little cage. You're safe, being an employee, getting your paycheck every single week, and you feel a little safe being inside that cage, right, that somebody else put you in. Well, what about if you did something different? What about if Fluffy went out instead of jumping around and just making it out there right away? What about if he actually exercised his muscles, right, and jumped higher and got better at jumping and jumped this way and jumped that way and got really strong before he went out into that living room, right? Well, that's what we can do, right? We can actually go out there and read a good book. We can actually be on these calls and actually strengthen or resolve, and also see in our minds what our future can be really like if we actually put all these things into place. So, when the spikes of the world come at us, we're stronger. We can take it, right? Maybe that Fluffy could have actually jumped up on top of the counter, and Spike could have been barking and barking all he wanted down, below the counter, trying to get a Fluffy. And Fluffy is at the top, because he exercises muscles. He was able to jump out of the way and just enjoy life, hopping around the counters instead. You follow what I'm saying? It's an amazing analogy to think that we can do the same thing for ourselves. Actually go out there and, we're starting something new. It's maybe a little bit scary, a little bit daunting, sort of like when Fluffy first came out of the cage, right? But once you see what's available to you, if you are actually taking action by actually, taking in all this personal development and business mindset training that you have, that's what's going to get you to where you want to go. Because when a problem comes up, you're not going to come up and just give up. You're going to find a way around it. When somebody yells at the top of the lungs trying to protect you in their weird way and tells you how you're going to fail if you stay doing this, you're not going to listen to that. You're actually going to try to surround yourself more with the people that actually have the success that you want. And, by the way, John, this is one of the things I talk to people about. It's like, hey, we get to step 3 in our training, and we talk about, business mindset and how, entrepreneurs and not regular entrepreneurs, but the big business and, the quadrant, the cash flow quadrant, the book. And by the way, everybody, that should be one of the books that you read for sure, Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. But, you have this quadrant where you have employee and self-employed mindset, to the left and to the right, you have big business and investors. And it's more than just wanting to be an entrepreneur. It's thinking a different way. It's a completely different way of thinking, of actually creating a business where you can actually don't have to be in it all the time in order for the system to work and create, the profits that you want. So you can actually have time freedom, and that mindset doesn't come from people that haven't made it there yet. You got to surround yourself with the people that actually made it there to get to where you want to be. And when you think about it, what we do every day by being on these calls and actually reading a good book, listening to good audio, we're surrounding ourselves with maybe the people that we can't be around in our normal life, right? We might not all know a millionaire. Once you start hanging around business owners, after a while, you actually get to know a lot of them. And I've actually had the fortunate, to be able to see a lot of people that have actually been able to retire very well because of the work that they did, both online and other businesses that they've had, right, as an entrepreneur. But in the beginning, we don't have that. So what do we have? We have these calls. We have these books, and if you don't have a way to surround yourself with other people that are at that level, just like step 3, who are the 5 closest friends that you have? Maybe they're not at the level that you want it to be at. Well, nobody's telling you to not have those friends, right? But you want to have other people around you that will actually change the way you think, change the way you talk even. Your conversations are going to be differently when you have people that have the same mindset of being, reaching the goals that you're trying to reach. Make sure that you have those, okay? And whether you can do it locally, maybe you do know enough people, that are business owners that are very successful. Even then, I would say you want to surround yourself and be on these calls. You know why? Because the people that are doing these calls, they're not your regular entrepreneur. And I can tell you, from past experience, from meeting a lot of people, most entrepreneurs out there are, even the ones that do well, the one thing that they don't have is time. And the people that you're learning from here, those people actually have time freedom. And that is a huge difference. The mental mindset of a big business owner, where you can actually walk away from being a cog in the wheel, the machine that creates your profits, you can actually have the machine working without you being there. You come in, check it in once in a while, make sure that it's running right, and not have to be, running it all the time. That's a different mindset. I learned from this other guy that I was learning from, whenever you're creating something, make sure that what you're creating, you're going to like what you do afterwards, because what happens if it works, right? What happens if it works, right? It's like my old business, right? I did not do a strategy session, right, with anybody to try to figure out what I really wanted out of my business, right? When I first did my very, very first business that was successful with the 3M window tinting, well, I didn't set it up right. I did not have anybody to sit down with me and make a business plan even afterwards, after, the strategy session, which we do here. And guess what? 10 years went by, I didn't have a vacation. I didn't have one vacation in 10 years. I would get little weekend getaways because we live in Florida, so we go to Disney World, right, for the weekend a couple of times a year. That's not a vacation, guys. And by the way, if you're going to family house, for a week, or if you're going to Disney World for a 3 or 4 day weekend or whatever's close to you in the summertime, that's not a real vacation. And vacation is when you go to Hawaii and you spend 15 days and you see beautiful sights, and you get to actually relax, and your body's a completely different person by the time you get back from that, and your experience that you have with that. That's a real vacation, okay? And if whatever you're doing right now, it's not allowing you to do that, that's where you want to listen to these guys. These are the people that can actually get you there. Tell you what, when I first, that same year, I hit that third month, I got to, my 5 figures a month, and I let go of everything else. Guess what I did? Everybody talks about, what do you do if you win $1 million? Everybody across the board will tell you almost 90% of the time that they want to go on vacation. They want to go away and have a good time somewhere, right? Well, that's what I did, but I did it not just one time. I actually took 12 one-week vacations every month for a year, just because I could, right? That was an amazing thing to be able to do, so I went ahead and did it. Now, that doesn't even hold a candle to what Michael was able to do this summer, right? You look at Michael and the way he set up his business now, he can actually walk away and go to Europe with his family for almost 3 months in the summer, and his business doubles in size in that time, right, without him having to be part of it. You can do the same thing. You can actually set your business up to be the same way so that you can actually do this. But it takes, in the beginning, being able to be around the right people, listening to the right things, getting your mindset right so that you can actually develop the things that you need. You want to be the fluffy that actually trained and got to the next level, and not the fluffy that ran back and started just right now. As a matter of fact, and you've heard probably this if you've been around online or anybody that's been doing well, they call themselves certifiably unhireable, or there's no way that I can go back to owning a bit, working for somebody anymore. And it's because of all these years of, putting my mind where it's in the right place. So even when things don't go right, my mind doesn't go back to going back and working for somebody else. It's unthinkable. You find ways to make it work. And that's the difference. You hear a lot of people make their excuses, 2-3 days into this business, right? A week into this business, and they're already creating excuses for themselves of why they can't do this. I have seen too many. You cannot, there's no way that you could ever convince me that anybody, and I mean anybody, can do this business. I was actually talking about it on the leadership chat the other day, that this is why I do what I do. I really, truly believe that you can do this. Anybody can do this, but you can do this. And it's because, first of all, you notice what we have here, right? Step-by-step system. You can actually follow along. But if you look back, John and I are one of the few people that have actually been online. Michael, they've been online for more than 10 years. If you look back across the board, almost everybody on the leaderboard has been online less than 5 years. You know what that tells me? That tells me that every one of those people learned how to do this business. Think about it. All of these people, they were doing something completely different, nothing to do with online marketing, digital marketing at all 5 years ago. And now look at their business that they've been able to create. Now, you can't tell me that that's not worth whatever effort they put into it. There's two things that I always think about. One, don't ask, what you want. Know what you want, but don't ask, for what you want. I want all the money in the world. I want $100,000. You want to, you know what you want to know? You want to know what you have to become to get that, okay? And to become means that you have to put, you have to put yourself out there to actually learn new skills, maybe new things that you don't know about, right? The other thing, when you start a business, you want to surround yourself with the people that are already at the level you're at. If you can do those two things, and by the way, the system, the way that the business is set up here, it's already done for you. This is exactly what we do. Everything's set up for you. You have a way to follow. You have people to follow. You even have people that are already making 6 and 7 figures actually walk you through it, and you can ask questions and things like that. That's what the coaches are here for. Unlike anything else I've ever seen, by the way. Even with the success that I've had in other systems before, one of the things that I saw, that Michael saw, right, that's how come he created the system, you needed a coach more often than just, when you were already making 7 figures and you wanted to go to the next level, right? That's what most people do, They get there and then they get to the point that they get stagnant and then they hire, say they even mid 6 figures and they want to get to the next level and they hire a coach to get to the next level. And Michael saw that, a lot of people were getting left behind. That's what I saw, most of the things online, you're left with, here you go. You bought a training, here you go. Go through it, see what you can do with it. And Michael saw that there was a lot of people falling through the cracks with that system. And he's actually come out and created something much, much better, something that I've never seen online and ever before, that you can actually come on board and actually start working with a coach right from the get-go. That's a gift, When you go back and even to the trainings and things like that, every one of these webinars that you listen to every week, and we have 2 a week. When I was coming on board, in order for me to get any information, I had to go to this guru and go to his webinar and pay $97. I go to this other guru, I bought his $50 ebook. I go to this other guru, another $97, webinar. And it was like, grasping at air, trying to find, everything, while, Michael has put it all together for you here. All together. And all you have to do, to get started is just to, spend $1 or whatever, to get started. It blew my mind, the kind of content, the kind of quality content that you actually can have within the system. And on top of that, you have coaches to work with. So, guys, I wanted to give you, a few books that I'm just actually going to go into my iPad here, just to give you some of the books that I have on here, so that you guys can maybe write some of these books down. Because if you listen, like I said, if you start reading every single day, just for 15 minutes every day, you can read 3 or 4 books, 5 books a year. Okay. So, one of the ones that I always have on my desk is Brian Tracy's No Excuses, The Power of Self-Discipline. That's one you used to have. Another one by Jack Terry, Attitude is Everything. Okay. These are books that you can find. There's another one called Cybernetics. And, there's a few of them that you actually have heard about probably, and maybe you haven't picked it up yet. Obviously the 2 that are in the step 3, the 4-hour work week, and the cash flow quadrant books are definitely a must. If you're going to be in this business, know what the business is set up for. It's set up the cash flow quadrant to be a big business investor, and it's set up so that you can actually outsource most of the work so that you don't have to do it all. That's what the 4-hour work week is talking about, right? But then there's other books that you probably come across, like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, by Stephen R. Covey. Go ahead and, and pick one of those up also. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. That's a very old book, but a lot of the sentiments that were in that book are what we use today, for our businesses and our way of thinking. Another thing that helped me a lot was How to Win Friends and Influence People. A lot of people think of that title, but Dale Carnegie, found something that everybody can use, for creating success. And he went to successful people and found out how they ran their business, how they did things. And there's a lot of stories in there that you can actually relate to see how to actually attract people to you and not repel them by what you're doing. So that's a very interesting book that you should actually be picking up. I'm sure you've heard of Think and Grow Rich, by Napoleon Hill. There's all kinds of versions out there. There's also a couple of books that I like that go to the point of what it takes to be successful. And one of them is The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell and The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. A lot of people think that it takes a lot, to achieve success, and it doesn't. All it takes is you to take that extra step that nobody else has taken, that little extra oomph, that extra, spring in your step every single day, and just being, a little bit more excited than the average person. If you do those little things like that, those are what's going to create the success. 15 minutes a day is nothing. Think about it. You spend 15 minutes a day, sometimes surfing through channels to see what to watch, It's like, but, there was one of my mentors used to say, what's easy to do is easy also not to do. So it takes self-discipline to tell yourself, hey, this is what I'm going to do from now on. And, out of everything, every leader that I ever come across online, offline, anywhere, and I'm sure if you talk to some different people that have become, successful in their own right somewhere in any field, you'll find out that somewhere along the way, they said enough. They've had enough. They actually might have even got mad at the situation that we're in, and they said, that's enough. And they made a decision at that point that changed their whole life. They said, that's it. I'm not going to keep on doing what I'm doing. I can do these things that I'm hearing all over the place about. I can read, 15 minutes every day. I can be on a call every day. I can go through a couple of steps every day. If you can do that, remain coachable. Start thinking big. Start thinking around problems. Those are the things that it takes to be successful. Go out. You don't even have to go an extra mile. You can then go an extra yard every single day. And just that difference, that's what's going to create success. We have these calls, and it's funny because you think, well, we're a digital marketing company. How come you're not talking about digital marketing? Because that's not where the success comes from. It's this kind of stuff. It's this kind of training that's going to get you there. And, we talk about these books. It's easy to say, read this, read that. It's easy to listen to it too, right? But it takes you wanting to have the success, having enough is enough attitude, and wanting to change your life for real. That's actually going to get you to the point that you're going to actually take action and start reading these books. And at the beginning, you might get a big old headache. I don't know. That's what happened to me when I first started reading again, I would spend 15 minutes and I would have a headache at the end. Your brain's not used to it, right? And I'm not telling you that to paint a picture of hurt in you as far as, what's going to happen if you start reading. I'm telling you because it changes. And after a while, you're reading for a half hour and you didn't even know that the time went by, because you become used to it and you come to crave it. There's people that I know that cannot go to bed. I don't care if they were up until 2 o'clock in the morning before they read their 15 minutes to a half hour of a good book, because it's become so ingrained in them. But guess what? Those are the most successful people that I know. So that's it. I feel like I've been talking here for a long time, John, and hopefully you're still on there, but we're at the top of the hour.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. All right, so everybody, is there any question in your mind how Eli has become successful? I'll tell you what, brother, that was inspirational. I'm inspired just listening to you. Does everybody get the level of enthusiasm that this guy operates at? And Eli, is this like your chronic state, or are you just putting on a show for us tonight? Are you always this excited?
It's something. I don't know how to not be like this anymore, but it wasn't like it was always like this. Just like I said,
right.
You get to this level. But yes, I'm always, I anytime that you're down, especially after a while, you learn little tricks. If you go to these seminars that we put together, right, you learn from the different people, and you learn how to get yourself even out of. You feel yourself that you're getting yourself in a funk. You can snap yourself out of it, and you learn all these little tricks to do that. But you have to be at the events, right, to learn these things. So, but yes, well, I love what I do, and it's more than that though, because when I see the other people have success, I told you in the beginning, I told you my success story online. My business partner, that invited me actually to this company, he came on board. He had no idea how to do this stuff. His whole background was 10 years of picking up the phone and dialing for dollars, 8 hours, 10 hours a day. He was like burned out from doing that. And while he was doing a good, he was making six figures doing that, he was just burned out. He came on board. He still doesn't know how to create a website or anything like that. He learned how to do marketing. He didn't know how to. You tell him what a blog, he'll tell you what's a blog, because that's somebody he learned. He learned a different type of marketing, and but literally within his first 90 days, he got to $45,000 a month. So I love that. That's what I love to see. I love to see people succeed, and that's what I feed off of. To be able to see somebody that had no idea anything online, and 90 days later just blow it out of the water, and I see it over and over again. Then I do see people that take a year to get that, but they stick around until they get to that, And so that's what I feed off. So yes, so definitely, definitely, an up kind of guy, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's because you put a lot of good information in. I mean, you were just rattling off some names of books, which I've just as recently as today recommended to students that I work with. And look, you're a valuable guy here as a coach. So people, I know as they're going through steps, some people will get to have you as their coach as they're getting set up, and that's beautiful. And then, of course, some people, as they're going through the higher level steps, will get to have me as their coach as they're moving forward. But regardless of who their coach is, you've given some solid instruction here tonight for anybody who's looking to duplicate, this sort of success, and to do it quickly, without a lot of guesswork. I think that's one of the big attractors here inside Digital Altitude. At least, that's the answers I get a lot from people when I talk to them about, hey, why'd you choose to do this? And, there's a million businesses that I suppose you could do, right? Well, why are you here? And one of the biggest things I hear, is because we've got this hands-on coaching where you actually get to work with people like you, Eli. I mean, you're a big attractor here. People don't necessarily know, who Eli or John is, but it's the principles nonetheless. And so there's no question in my mind that you are qualified to assist others in accelerating that whole evolutionary process. So I'm grateful for you, man. You talked for an hour straight without taking a breath, and it sounds like you could have gone for 3 more hours. That reminds me of somebody. It reminds me of myself. So I think we're going to have to have you on some more calls.
I learned something,
Yeah.
I listen to some of these calls that you host.
Yeah, and you're getting a lot of love in the chat roll as well. I don't know if you're seeing the chat roll, if you're on DALivecall.com. By the way, I was just on DALivecall.com, and it looks like the site's having problems. So sorry, guys, if you're not able to see the chat or whatever, but it looks like the platform's just having difficulty. But look, there's a lot of people who are going to be meeting for the first time in this place called Maui. And, of course, that's coming up on March 8th. Registrations, listen, I just got word. Registrations will be closing in February, about a month before the event starts. So you definitely want to get your registration in. You should have received an email. If you already have an Ascend ticket, you should have received an email to register for the event. Of course, the ticket is for 2 people. Okay. If you do not yet have a ticket, you need to remedy that situation ASAP. You need to remedy that situation. So call your coach and get on that if you intend to be with us in Maui. Now, we are past the top of the hour. Typically, we open it up for Q&A, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something different, okay, because I've got a guy, a new student who I need to coach here in a few minutes. We're going to wrap it up, and we're going to have everybody wanting more. Yes, we're going to leave everyone wanting more. Next time we have you out here, Eli, we're going to see about having some live interaction. In fact, we've got other calls that I'd love to have you out here on, too. We got wake-up calls. We've got the Wednesday evening, on the rise training webinars and stuff. So you and I need to spend a little bit more time together. We're going to have you out here some more. Is that a deal?
That sounds excellent. And thank you very, very much for having me tonight. I really appreciate this, and I love this community that we're part of right now. And just as much as I might be a coach or anything like that, guys, I set my time every morning. I'm in Eastern time from 10 to 10:30. I don't talk to anybody else. I'm on those calls, just like I'm asking you guys to be on. So make sure that you're doing it. You know, it's like every time that there's Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, that's where I'm at. You know, Monday nights at 9 o'clock, this is where I'm at. So, you know, become, you know, it might be, if you want to call it, that might be our product, right? Become a product of the product, but just start doing it. And what do you have to lose? You know, you'll have a better life one way or the other. So thank you very much for having me, you know, and I'm looking forward to, you know, to be able to help out wherever I can in the future, John. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you for being such an asset here to the community. Thank you all for participating tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow morning with Tatiana on our wake-up call for Tuesday. So everybody have a great night. We will see you all soon. Bye for now.
Take care, everybody.